So I use an app to now schedule all my emails to go out on Monday morning instead of during Saturday or Sunday when I might be working on it, or middle of the night when I might be working on it.
Yeah.
I'll schedule them for the next morning. So that's fine. I mean, that's the freedom that I love working for myself, is I can work on something at 2 o'clock in the morning. But there's a difference between me working on it and me telling other people that I'm working on it and giving them permission to now say,
Gotcha.
since you're up at 2 o'clock in the morning every day anyways, why aren't you done with this yet?
Right. Oh, jeez.
Because that's the way it ended up being, is I'd start talking to some of them on Sundays or something, but then there'd be an expectation that I work every Sundays.
Right.
Or that I'm available anytime they want to.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
How are you doing on that? Drawing boundaries?
I'm pretty good, because with the daycare, when the daycare kids leave, that's pretty much a clear distinction that work is over with.
Do they invade your time afterwards?
No.
No?
Mm-mm.
Good.
No. Yeah. I'm pretty good at keeping work at work, I guess. This kind of work, I guess. Yeah. I don't... I know at my last job, something would happen and I'd be thinking about it while I was like playing with Caleb or something, so I wasn't fully present. So that was a way that my previous job kind of interfered at home, and I didn't like that, but it's hard to not think about stuff sometimes. Yeah. But yeah, C.S. Lewis, he had a quote that says, our devices to save time have banished leisure time. Like sometimes of our technology,
He said that before cell phones.
Yeah.
Or computers or anything.
Yeah.
I'm like, what devices did they have in the 40s and 50s to save time that were banishing so much leisure time?
Maybe, I don't know.
The washing machine?
The washing machine, maybe, yeah. Mixers, I don't know. Like a podcast
They didn't have
mixer.
microwaves. They didn't have...
Maybe the printing press, I don't know.
One thing I've done to force a little bit more introspection, I've done this since Deeper Weekend last month, is I have started keeping a paper journal. So at the end of each night during the week, sit down and just write something about what happened that day or what my thoughts are on something. So I'm trying to force it a little bit more. But even that's hard. Like the first 2 or 3 days that I was there, I'd write like that much stuff on a page, and now it's like down to that. And I'm like, all right, I still wrote something.
Yeah.
Gotta keep it up. So
By the last day, you're like, I'm tired. What books can I read? Listen to on the way back?
Yeah.
No.
that's how all my journals have started out. I mean, every time I've started a paper journal, it's got like 5 pages from the very beginning used up.
Yep.
So trying to avoid that.
Yeah.
But
It's just you have to get a really expensive moleskin journal. That's the problem.
those poor moles.
Yeah. Yeah. I try to read like a proverb a day too. Because there's 31 proverbs, 31 days. Just try to read one of those a day, and typically it makes, usually the theme of the proverb will make sense, But other than that, yeah, just quiet time. I guess doing nothing to me doesn't necessarily mean doing nothing. Just kind of stopping work or stopping something.
So how would you draw the line between productively doing nothing and non-productive time wasting? Do you think there's a difference?
Productive and then non-productive time wasting? Is non-productive necessarily bad though?
I don't know. I know I don't tend to think and have many creative ideas while I'm just binging a show. You know what I mean? Whereas if I'm outside mowing the lawn, I might.
Yeah.
And And I'm not saying time wasting is bad, obviously.
Right.
I do plenty of that.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying if there is an idea that I want to have a breakthrough on, I guess what are your go-tos, or do you know which things to avoid and which things to employ to give yourself that kind of space?
Yeah, I mean,
the kind of shutting everything down like you used to do when you were employed, where it's just like, I don't want to think about work.
we go on YouTube.
And the kind of shutting everything down where it's like, I've got a real problem to crack. I need to turn off my computer, step away, and go do something.
Definitely not watching any TV.
Mm-hmm.
Like binging, no, I can't. I like to just sit out on my deck, and it's weird, when I read, I'm still thinking about other things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get very distracted when I read.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I can read whole chapters and just be like, what
did I read?
But I know what I thought about.
I know, yeah. I'm like, oh, darn it, now I'm going to have to reread this page.
Mm-hmm. That's not bad.
It's not, no.
I think especially if you can find a book that you know, it's kind of like watching a movie that you know and you're prepared for.
Mm-hmm.
You can find it, and if you find that book that you're just like, I know that when I read this, my brain gets plenty. It's kind of like that automatic muscle response or muscle memory that we rely on when we're exercising or gardening or something that doesn't require a lot of thought there.
Yeah.
When you're reading a new book, you probably should be focusing on the new book.
Mm-hmm.
But if you go back to an old one and you're like, I'm just going to do this to give my brain something to do while it really works on what I need it to.
Yeah.
That can actually be good.
Sometimes I doodle, just draw,
Mm-hmm.
and just whatever comes out on the paper, whatever I'm thinking.
Cool.
You know.
I do most of my brainstorming on paper.
Yeah.
So I need to get better at going back and reading through it. Or cataloging it or making it more searchable, because I've got notebooks, legal pads on legal pads of ideas and all these things that I'm going to do.
Yeah.
And they're just stacked up somewhere, and I never go back and look through them. So.
Is it the same with Evernote?
I never go back into Evernote, but it's not the same with Evernote. Evernote I don't really use for anything creative. It's more just like storing stuff. Mm-hmm. So I can't brainstorm on the computer very well.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So it's good to just do nothing. I think people are scared to do nothing too, because when they're not busy, then it kind of forces them to think about things.
Well, that's why I don't like the introspection. It's like I got to be alone with the voices in my head kind of thing.
So yeah, most of the stuff I think that we do is mostly distraction.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm on Facebook, Twitter, you know. It's like I'm not really doing anything.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like the same reason we say we're busy when somebody asks us how we're doing is the same reason when somebody asks, you know, hi Charlie, nice to meet you. What do you do? You immediately jump into your roles and your career and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because we're afraid to, what are we if we're not the work that we're producing?
Yeah. Yeah.
So if I'm not busy, if I've got tons of leisure time, does that mean I'm useless?
Society would probably say so.
Yeah. What am I if I'm not my job? What am I if I'm not the stuff that I'm producing?
Is it too easy to say a good dad? I'm going to say that next time somebody says, what do you do? I'm a good dad. Then they're going to think you're cocky. Oh, this MFer, I'm not talking to this guy.
Man, this guy thinks he can have it all.
Yeah.
I don't know. What are you when your kids move out then?
Yeah, I know.
I'm a great grandpa.
Yeah.
Well, you're close to death then.
Yeah.
I don't know. What are you?
I'm grass.
I mean, I could say I'm a power lifter, but
that's something. That's like a.
That's temporary.
Yeah.
I am a child of God. Oh, I'm gonna roll my eyes now. Is what they're thinking.
Yeah.
Too blessed to be stressed.
Yeah, too blessed to be stressed. I mean, maybe you're not just one thing. Maybe we're all those things. You're not just one thing all the time. You know, I'm a good dad. I'm a daycare provider. I'm a YouTube provider. I don't answer my phone when my wife calls me. We wear many caps.
Yeah.
You're a power lifter. You're a CPA. You're a good dad. You're a grocery shopper. You're a.
I'm a budget maker.
You're a budget maker. You're a binge watcher.
I am nothing without my Netflix collection.
Yeah. Netflix and nothing.
I'm up to date on all of my friends' Facebook posts. That's my accomplishment in life.
Yeah. We're not one thing all the time.
I think that's what part of the sensory deprivation thing of why we get scared when it all gets stripped away is spend a day in introspection and think about what happens if all of those things that you use to identify yourself as get taken away from you. What are you? What's left?
Yeah.
So it's much better to just be busy and have lots of signals and lots of noise.
Distractions.
Speaking of noise.
Yeah.
So, cool. I'm good. Are you good?
I am.
Before we get all...
I'm better than I deserve.
Better than you deserve. I'm busy, so it's better than the alternative.
Yeah. Not 6 feet under. How you doing? Oh, work, kids, you know.
Can't complain.
Yep.
Gonna, but I can't.
Oh, gotta turn the heat on. It's getting cold out there. I'm doing better now, but I'll tell you that after, not recording.
Okay.
I'll tell you why. So.
Oh, right.
Yeah. I'm gonna make a.
I'm all nervous. He's firing me.
But you don't even work here, Kramer. That's what makes this so hard. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Nerd Talk?
Yes, Nerd Talk. Going to talk about top fiction series, and I know you're not just talking about TV shows and movies.
Not at all talking about TV shows or movies. Okay. Sorry, I didn't make that clear.
Yeah.
Books is where I was talking.
Okay. Majority of my stuff come from that, but I have a couple book series.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
I'm going to...
I was mostly looking for something good to read.
Okay. Well, this one's not going to help you.
Okay.
Because I broke it down to adolescence and adult list. So the adolescent list was Encyclopedia Brown.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was so good.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
What was the one? Do you remember the one where he solved it based on where the person put the tear in their eye?
Yes.
With an eyedropper? It was outside.
It was on the
outside. And
where
real
your first
people, tears come down the inside.
Yeah. Or the one where Bugs had a World War I
the sword.
Sword.
Yeah. I was thinking the sword too.
Yeah. And he knew it was not a real authentic one because it said World War I. It didn't say the Great War because they didn't know there was going to be a second World War at the time.
That's right.
You know
that has a mute.
Yes, I know.
I remember those are the two that stand out to me the most: the teardrop one and the sword one.
There was one where it was a boxer called the police because all his money was stolen in the locker room, and the way Encyclopedia figured it out, he was like, wait a minute, you said you put your gloves and wrapped your gloves on and then called. There's no way you could have dialed the phone number, you know. But at the time, 12, 13, I was like, whoa, this is like True Detective to me, you know.
Nice.
So I've read every single book that, I forgot what the guy's name, Donald something, came out, but they were good.
Yeah, I like those.
Yeah. 25 cents a day, solve a mystery, yeah. And then somehow, it was always funny, the chief of police the mastermind was this 12-year-old kid solving these mysteries around town in Illinois.
Cops were too busy to mess with replica swords.
Yeah.
I've got an admission here on the podcast, since we're talking about adolescent book series.
Sure.
As a kid, I loved the Babysitter's Club. I know you're trying
Get
hard
out.
not to laugh.
Oh.
I loved the Babysitter's Club because I loved the idea of these kids started their own business and were making tons of money and had grown it into an empire.
Yeah.
So it's out there now.
Okay.
It's been published. When I run for president in 30 years, this is going to come up again. But yeah, I love the Babysitter's Club. That's what I would go to the library to pick up.
Awesome.
So.
Well, this is just between me and you.
Mm-hmm. Good. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
You and your film editing.
Yep. There was another series. It was called The Duplicate. This was in my adolescence years, but it was about cloning. This kid found a cloning device, and he cloned himself. But then it was kind of dark because the clone started understanding, wait, why am I going to work and making this kid money? So the clone made another clone, and with each iteration, of course, they became more and more like selfish and evil. And so at the end, it was like the I don't know if you could know who was the real boy at the end, but at the end there was one standing, and they were all down in the cliffs, in the rocks, dead. You know,
Wow.
And he like smashed the device.
That is pretty dark.
Yeah.
They did that exact plot line first in Calvin and Hobbes.
Really?
Because he had a duplicator, and he created a copy of himself and forced him to go to school. And that copy was like, why do I have to go to school? So he created a copy. And then they also did that as a plot of a movie starring Michael Keaton. Was it Multiplicity? I think in the 90s there was a movie of it.
Maybe, yeah.
But the problem with that one was they kept making copies of copies, and they had the whole point of anytime you make a copy of a copy, it gets a little bit worse as it goes on. And so the last one to get made was completely mentally
just
not there, completely stupid. And it was who else was in that? Was it Andy McDowell? Was the female in that one? But yeah, I remember that movie.
Yeah. Well,
With that exact plot, it was like they always create a copy to do all the work.
Yeah.
And then that one's like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I'll just create a copy of myself to do it.
Yeah, he'll do my work, and then that one, it's just a domino effect. Made me think of what was that one magician movie with Hugh Jackman?
Oh, not The Illusionist.
Prestige.
Prestige. Yeah.
He actually made copies of himself or something.
I think, yes. Yeah, he did.
And he had
each
to
one
kill
died.
him.
Each one died so that he could finish the trick.
Yeah. Whereas that was Christian Bale, right? And they had twins, and he was doing it because he was twins.
He actually had twins.
Yeah, he had
and he couldn't figure out how.
Hadoken!